What's shaking, everyone? So guess what? We're going to go over my absolute favorite sport in the world, Major League Baseball. Playoffs are firmly underway. We're just about wrapped up the first round of the playoffs, and I don't blame you if you're not watching because it is nothing like it should be, and I was fairly disgusted with the season at large anyways, especially with their rule changes, and what they've done with the playoffs is baffling and confusing. So what we're going to do here today is we're going to break down what happened to the season itself, what the playoff structure looks like, and what I figure is the most likely scenario for the World Series after all. But before we dig too deeply into that, I just want to thank everybody for taking the time on a brand new channel here, and hopefully you enjoy the content that you see here, because we're covering everything in the world of sports that we can see deserves a true take, and we also take a look at the world of politics and how batshit loony that is. So if you appreciate that type of coverage, feel free to drop any suggestions for any future video or to discuss the MLB further in the comment section down below. And while you're down there, if you don't mind hitting that subscribe button or just dropping a like, it helps the channel grow tremendously, and that's what we're trying to do here. We are trying to spread the truth and have a little laugh at, well, today at the expense of the Major League Baseball. So what they did, those who obviously, if you clicked on this, you're familiar with the MLB. What they did was something really stupid. It was a 60-game season as opposed to 162, which it's been for fucking decades at this point. And they also instituted a universal DH. Now, what separates the two leagues, like, okay, actually all professional sports have segregated leagues. And this is the only time I'm going to use segregated, and that's going to be proper and wonderful. But in baseball, there actually is a differentiation between like an East-West, or in this case, the American League and the National League. The National League allows the pitchers to hit in the 9-person batting lineup. And for this 60-game season, because they thought pitchers are too precious, I guess, there was never really a clear statement as to why the universal DH was put in this year. And it really just turned me off, because the National League teams are designed for all teams are designed for a 162-game season, but they are also designed with extra bench bats in order to pinch hit, and the managers design their game plan around having to substitute and work around the pitcher to hit in the lineup. So as if this season wasn't a total sham enough, they throw that in there and just make it a homogenized mess with cardboard cutouts in the stands, and they just did a whole bunch of goofy shit. But the season played out like you'd kind of expected, except for they expanded the playoffs, which I fucking hate. Baseball does playoffs and the Hall of Fame correctly. They are so selective with the Hall of Fame, and you can run down their list, and it is the cream of the crop, the actual Hall of Fame players that deserve to be in there. Not like, I think the NBA Hall of Fame is the absolute dirt worst. If you play 10 years in the league, you are basically guaranteed to one day be in the Hall of Fame, because they induct something like 25 fucking players every year and a bunch of fringe guys that you never expect. But that's not the point of today's video. This is to be MLB specific. And like I said with the Hall of Fame, they pick the cream of the crop, and that's what they do with their playoff structure. Now, they expanded the wild card game less than a decade ago. I think that's fine. You play 162 games, and then you do this high-stakes, winner-take-all, one wild card game to get into the divisional round to face one of the division winners. Makes total sense. But this year, instead of 3 best-of-7 series, we have a wild card series, which is currently wrapping up, which is a best of 3. Weird. And then your division series is a best of 5. What the fuck? Why couldn't you just leave that one be? Whatever. And then, of course, you have the 2 championship series, the ALCS and the NLCS, and the World Series are best of 7 series. So at least they didn't fuck with that too much, because the CSs and the World Series have always been 7 games. But what else is weird about the playoff seeding here is, as you see, once the regular season's finished, you number everybody down depending on their record. And in the American League, everybody who was over 500 made the playoffs, which is just not a baseball thing to do. But this entire season's a total write-off, in my opinion anyways, and it's not going to stand the test of time. One thing I want to see out of all of these coronavirus shortened or augmented seasons on the professional sports scene, how many of these teams are going to repeat after this season, or how many of these teams were relevant to the year before when all of these special provisions weren't in place? A lot of that has to do with my predictions later in the video here for how the World Series is going to play out. But like it's saying here, everybody gets numbered in their divisions in the National League and the American League, and then they don't reseed when the playoffs continue. Like, the winner of the 1-8 series faces off against the 4-5 series. So let's just say in the American League, if the Jays, they didn't win, they'll eventually get there. I don't know if they're going to win a World Series with that core, but yeah. Anyways, so if they would have won, they would have faced the winner of the 4-5 series instead of, say, if the 2-7, if the 2 would have won, they wouldn't have faced the Jays. There was no reseeding in this playoffs, as if they weren't fucking bonkers enough already. So now that we have the ground rules out of the way, I've got a map of the playoff brackets. Now, as you've seen in the thumbnail of this video, I did a little editorializing already. The San Diego-St. Louis series isn't over yet. Neither is the Cubs-Marlins and the Dodgers-Brewers. But come on, Dodgers-Brewers. Dodgers ain't losing that shit. I picked St. Louis to go over San Diego because they were within a contour of making the playoffs last year, and San Diego is still just a dysfunctional dystopia of a baseball team. Even though they added Clevenger at the trade deadline, it's just not enough for right now. Whenever you create these teams with a bunch of big talent, like take a look at the White Sox, they didn't win. They added a bunch of talent in the offseason. Every single one of these super teams, and fucking Cincinnati did exactly the same thing. You add all of these talents, it takes time for these teams to galvanize. The Blue Jays did it, 5-6 years ago when they added Jose Reyes and Josh Johnson, Mark Burley, R.A. Dickey. Fuck him in the ass. Oh my God, that guy. You want to talk about some real shit here. When he was brought up to the Jays, he was supposed to be the Cy Young winning pitcher, and he was going to go out and he was going to win between 15 and 20 games this season and be the anchor for the bullpen, or for the starting rotation, rather. But as soon as he started to falter and he needed his personal catcher because J.P. Arencibia couldn't catch a fucking knuckleball or a break in his entire career, and then the goalposts started to shift. Then all of a sudden, he's just going to be an innings eater. He's going to be a reliable hand. And then eventually when they made the playoffs, he got shifted to the bullpen exactly where he should have been because he's a fucking old, washed up gimmick pitcher. And that was the only bad trade that Alex Anthopoulos made because they gave up Travis d'Arnaud and Noah Syndergaard. And you could argue that trade may or may not have actually played out because Syndergaard is, I don't know, man. He's just not panning out. And Travis d'Arnaud, the last time he had success, he bounced around and found himself playing for Tampa Bay. And I don't even know where the fuck he is nowadays. It wasn't that terrible of a deal, really. But whatever, who cares? Move on from there. Now, what I see happening here. So obviously I editorialized, I put the Dodgers to face the Cardinals, and then I have the Cubs to face the Braves because I'm not stupid and the fucking Marlins stink. Don't even worry about it. So what I figure the World Series is going to be just the straight Tampa Bay Dodgers. I just think it's going to be the 1-1 matchup because with this shortened season, the teams that favor it the most are the powerhouse teams that are built and have the chemistry, which exactly is what the Dodgers are, or the gimmick teams, the teams that could string together a game plan for a certain amount of time in the regular season, in a 162 game season, and there's no team that better exemplifies that than Tampa Bay. The team of the shift, the team of the 4 outfielders, the guys who popularized the opener quasi-phenomenon. You guys remember when Sergio Romo would start a game, go 2 innings, and then they just bullpen it through the rest of the way? Now, you can get away with those tactics when they're used in small doses. Exactly what a 60-game season is perfectly designed for. That's why they won the American League, because they can gimmick their way to the top. Now, can they get past the Yankees? I think they can, because the Yankees are susceptible to being tricked. They are a straight-out power team. Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Gary Sanchez, who couldn't hit a fucking beach ball at this point. They are a goofy team. Same with the A's. But I think that the Tampa Bay Rays are much more tricky, and they probably have a little bit more talent than the A's. That's why I'd have them coming out of the AL for completely different reasons that I've already stated. I think that's why the Dodgers are going to walk through the National League, because how many times have they been to the World Series recently? They have all the best players, and as much as all the hoopla in the offseason was adding Mookie Betts, that's one piece that they added to it. Everything else is practically exactly the same, from the bullpen to the starting rotation and to the batting lineup itself. And you can absolutely power through a division, a conference, when you can just knock the seams off of baseball. I'll go ahead and say it right now. Dodgers are winning the World Series. They'll win it in 6, because Tampa Bay has a few tricks up their sleeve, but you can't outpitch that good of a team for that long. And unfortunately for the Dodgers, they're going to win this World Series, and it's going to be tainted. And I think that they can travel through this goofy little season and power through, because you take a look at their division. You have the Arizona Diamondbacks, which is cobbled together with everybody else's leftovers, and they keep making these weird off-season and mid-season trades. Like, you trade out Zach Greinke, and then in the off-season you sign Madison Bumgarner. Like, it's a literal lateral move that makes no sense. The fucking... I don't understand what's going on with the Diamondbacks. And then you take a look at who else is in their division. Yeah, you got the Padres, who I think will galvanize and will probably finish second in the division behind the Dodgers next year. And then you also have the Rockies, which is a team in flux. You don't know if Nolan Arenado is going to get traded next offseason. And nobody wants to pitch in Colorado because, the ball travels farther. Oh, fucking suck a dick. Travels farther in Arizona, too, because they're very comparable with altitude. And you don't hear anybody, fucking Zach Greinke signed that $6 million, whatever it was, $500 million deal. I know it wasn't that much. Fuck off, I'm being hyperbolic. And then, of course, if the San Francisco Giants can actually make it through all the human shit that's on the ground in San Francisco to get to their actual ballpark, that's a shitty team. And they just need to blow it up, sell off Buster Posey and whatever else is left there. Joe Panic's still there, I guess. And yeah, fucking rebuild. Shit sucks. Shit's tough. And the Dodgers are going to have a very easy time making it to the playoffs again next year when we're back to regular baseball, which I know I can't wait for. Once they realize that this season was highly unprofitable because all the Black Lives Matter shit that's currently destroying professional sports. Yeah, I'll say it, destroying. And hopefully baseball is smart enough, because I think that they are. If there's one league that I will give the benefit of the doubt to, it's definitely baseball, and that's just not my bias. I think that they will correct their social justice ways before the NBA, certainly, and the NFL, because Roger Goodell is totally cucked at this point, and Akeem Alou, Evander Kane has the ear of all of the upper management of the NHL, and to be fair, is the NHL really part of the Big Four anyways? It's just popular in Canada and the northern states anyways, so fuck them and fuck them in the ass. I'm tired of all their coverage. If you've been up to Canada for but 10 seconds and turned on, there's not even the score anymore. That used to be my favorite sports channel because they actually reported the news. If you turned on Sportsnet or TSN, all it is in a 30-minute block where they'd run their morning news, 20 minutes of hockey, depends on the time of the year, 5 years of baseball, 5 minutes of the Jays, then about, if there's no Jays games on that night, it's just divvied up among the rest. fucking sports coverage up here sucks a dick. So that's why I am bringing it to this channel. And if you guys want more coverage like this, let me know in that comment section down below, and I'm going to leave the video here for today. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this, and I've been Don Consuelo. I want you guys to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.